What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. Crack a beer, cozy up. We're recording this one on Sunday, June 23rd, to talk RIFC's emphatic 5-2 road win versus Eastern Conference leaders Louisville City FC. I'm your host, Matt. Tonight, I'm joined by my good friend Ryan. So settle in as we relive the Tide's triumphant victory. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. And if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. We've had a lot of those kind of pour in over the last few days, so really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to leave us a rating and a short review. If you're not already using the Club Collector app, click the link in this episode description to get on the site and go into the code Tide Talk, all one word, to get a free pack added to your collection. Thank you for everyone who switched over. We were having a technical difficulty with going live. I don't know why that keeps happening, but twice on the last couple. So hopefully we'll square that away. Ryan, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Do you believe in miracles?
I
hope
do.
it was as good the second time.
It was. We did the whole spiel to an empty room, so it's
the saddest part is we had a really beautiful synchronized beer opening.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the worst of the missing file.
If you just got in here, you missed our beer crack. We both got the pale ales going on. I got a koozie from Summerfest the other day at the German American Society of Rhode Island, a navy one. I have a white one, but it's filthy, so I'm glad I was able to procure a navy one and get it going in there. It is also worth noting that it's about 8:37. There's some pretty severe weather in the area, so if we do blackout and not blackout like I did the other night at my Hardy concert, but no, I didn't do that. It wasn't that bad. But if we do lose connection, just know that there's some crazy shit going on. So we'll try to battle it as best we can. Ryan, I watched this one from home. You were at the Guild. Talk a little bit about the atmosphere there and how everything went on.
Yeah, the Guild is, like we've mentioned multiple times on this podcast, just a great time. Irvin and the Defiance and the entire board there do such a good job bringing everyone together. As we saw from the predictions, people might not have been super encouraged going into this match ahead of time, but once everyone got to the Guild, everyone really backed the team, got behind them. And, as each of those goals get in, and especially the fourth and fifth one, really pandemonium broke out. And you can really see that. Matt Jean does a great job with his match day vlogs. Definitely go check that out.
Amber and Blue Crew.
Amber and Blue Crew, find him on Instagram, YouTube, but did a great job capturing all that. We took an awesome group picture at the end. So up the Tide. It was awesome.
Very cool. Evan wants to know, why do the glitches keep happening? I think it's because we had Kevin on one of our feeds and he infected it. So we just blame it on the fluffy guy himself. We got Nate in the chat. Up the Tide.
RIFC.
I was hoping that played out. Good job, Ryan. Love it. So thank you for everyone. Just remember, the chat's live. We can pull you up as you comment, as you go, as we talk about this one. Scott, our good friend who stayed up very, very late in Wales. Guys, I didn't see the game this weekend. Does anyone know the score? 5-2 Rhode Island FC defeats Eastern Conference leaders Louisville FC, and you and I were both way the fuck off on our predictions.
I don't think anyone got this right.
Happy to be wrong on this one for sure.
We both said it when we predicted a loss. We both said we hope we're wrong, and hey, great.
That's all we can really ask for, right? But it was interesting that it was, or I guess not interesting, but predictable that it was pretty much an unchanged 11 minus the 2 red cards. Same system where Jackson Lee stepped in for Coque Vegas, and we also saw Brito step in for McGlynn. So the starting 11 was Lee, Turnbull, Nodarse, Yao, Quizera, Chumesi, Brito, Holstad, Ibarra, Williams, and Chico. Any surprises there for you, or is that how you pretty much saw it lining up?
Yeah, I mean, one other addition to the starting lineup was Chico in place of Mark Doyle.
Yeah, you got that.
Which I think we were all wondering when Chico might come back in. He was obviously dealing with some injury issues. So other than that, I think it's good that the team, kind of stuck in that same shape, same system. This is really a flashback to the system we have been playing at the beginning of the year. So, kind of going back to kind of what he saw or maybe envisioned to start the season, as well as what worked for most of the game in Memphis as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to read. I got a few messages from our friend Handsome John, Capo, who joined us for our preview episode. He says, first off, congratulations. We aren't friends anymore. And then he put the crying laughing emoji. I'm standing at the post game tailgate, people talking a lot about refs, but you know how that goes. Anyways, good game. It's hard to Capo in that scenario. I wish you guys luck the rest of the way. I responded, what a wild one. He just said, I'm happy for you guys being a new team and all. Signature wins at this stage are huge. Tip of the cap. So thank you to our good friend, Handsome John. And
Nothing but class.
We'll definitely have to have him back on next season because he just brings some really cool insights. And he gives us a lot of production notes behind the scenes too. So really definitely enjoy having him on. And as Tyler says in the chat, they don't get better than Handsome John. So if you're not already following him or 24-hour Purple on Twitter, make sure you go give those guys a follow. They're just really good people and they just like talking soccer, kind of like we do. So, I think that like Matt Hands just mentioned, Louisville fans were complaining on Twitter about the ref too. But honestly, I don't know why. I wanted to show John's comments just as it wasn't all Louisville fans complaining about the refs. He mentioned that people were, but I put in the chat and I got ridiculed for it. But I thought the officiating was very good in this one. And I said to John during the matches, we were kind of texting back and forth. I know he does the capo in 15-minute intervals, that I thought the officiating was pretty fair. And actually Garrett from the Detroit pod that we had on was messaging me, what's going on? And I said, Rhode Island's a big physical team, and quite often I feel like we get officiated differently because of our physicality. But I think the referee, kind of those calls that we all scream for, that we all bark for, the referee was giving to us. And that's really the first time we've seen that. JJ won a lot of fouls on aerials, was brought down a lot. And I think that the way the match officiated did benefit us, but it also didn't gift us goals and gift us a victory. We definitely went out and won this one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the best type of reffing performance is when you don't really think about the refs. And there wasn't really a point in this game where I was consciously thinking or consciously criticizing the refs. So all in all, that is a very fine performance by me. Obviously, I had my Rhode Island amber and blue glasses on, so I don't want to pretend that I could see it from their angle. But to me, it was there wasn't anything egregious in there, which we've seen throughout this season, both for and against us. So yeah, I don't know how much of a gripe they have.
Right. So I want to tell everyone that's in the chat right now, we brought the heat. We got all the video highlights. We're going to relive all 5 goals. And I also want to throw that as a caveat. If you're listening on the podcast version of this, you're going to hear the audio but not see the clip. But you'll get to relive the call, which might be good enough, or might bring back some reminiscent thoughts in your head.
I think there was this thing called radio back in the day that people listened to listen to games. So maybe
yeah, old times. Yeah. But we're going to start with the absolute banger by Clay Holstad in the 30th minute. And Clay only scores bangers. Top bin Clay. So we're going to replay this clip. And then, Ryan, I'd love to get your take on this goal after this clip ends.
If you got 30 minutes after this, let me know.
Here we go.
Firing forward. They wanted a handball. Nothing given. Fuson and Willie.
That was the wrong clip, so I apologize for that. Holy shit.
He's been given some green grass to move into. He's got Turnbull to his right. Holstead in a bit of space as well. He'll have a go from distance. Oh, what a goal! Clay Holstead. How about that?
Well, get the highlight reels out. It's going to be on your screen from now until next week. Clay Holstead.
It's going to be on our screens from now till next week. I know we've been screaming at this team to shoot more. I know Evan's been screaming at this team to shoot more and shoot from distance. My whole rationale of that, if you shoot from distance, you can get some spillage, maybe get some putbacks with a poacher like Chico out there and, JJ clogging up the box. But this one was hit from it's got to be at least 6 to 10 yards off the box, and just an absolute worldie, an absolute screamer from Clay Holstead on this one.
I mean, is Clay Holstad the Peyton Pritchard of the USL? Just heaving it from deep and just making it every time.
A special teams player.
Unbelievable. Do you think there's anyone in literally world football who has a ratio of like worldy goals to like shots than Clay Holstad? It's unbelievable. It's just crazy because we've seen that so many times this season already, and we're like not even halfway through the season yet. The thing with Clay, I was thinking about this a lot today because I cannot stop thinking about this goal. I genuinely think the most important thing that we can do as a organization over the next couple months is get him signed up on a multi-year deal. I think he is by far our most important player. I think he has tremendous versatility. I think he brings such a high floor to this team. I just hope that, his time spent in Rhode Island, he's had some coffee milk, he's had some Narragansett beer, a little bit of Dells, some stuffies. He's really falling in love with the culture, and he's been wooed and wants to stay here, because I genuinely think signing him up to a multi-year is the most important thing we can do.
No, I definitely agree with you there. From what we know, it is Koke Vegas, it is Albert Dequa, and it is JJ Williams on a multi-year deal. So we can only hope that Clay is either there or potentially looking at it. And hopefully, like you said, he's just so versatile. He's kind of the Swiss Army knife that we have on this team. Right wing back, which we know we hate seeing him at, or center mid and roaming playmaker, which we love seeing him at. We can kind of stick him anywhere. He, even with his time in Columbus, played some keeper in an emergency situation. So I would love to see it. I think and Evan said it in the chat, I hate to say it, but Clay is going back to the MLS next year. I could see, this might be a step down for Clay as far as his career trajectory. Mumbling my words, but combining words there. But I could see him playing, at a higher level next season. I could also see him staying here and making us, in the upper echelon of this Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, number one, can we quit on the bad vibes in the chat? Like, let's hope that Clay stays. Let's stop talking about him going to the MLS. Come on. We're talking coffee, milk, and Dells here. Come on.
Right. And Tim mentioned, and I said we got to shoot more. They scored more, but they didn't really shoot more in this game.
Thank you,
Tim. But like Matt added, we were more clinical with our chances.
Thank you, Matt. That is the correct takeaway from this.
83%, I believe, of the chances. Is that what it was, Ryan? 5 out of 6?
5 out of 6. You almost can't do better than that. It's incredible.
Just absolutely insane. Kevin's in the chat. Up the tide. Good to see our friend Fluffy Cahog Boy in here as we record this one on Sunday night. Just a reminder, you can join Kevin on Twitter for the Cahog Corner at 9 p.m. And if you cannot make it, make sure you're subscribed to our podcast channels, and even here on YouTube, as we'll have the audio version available for you next day as quickly as we can get it up there. So make sure you're locked into the Cahog Corner.
Yeah, I just want to be really I want to get this in now because we're going to talk about it eventually. But the whole shooting and shoot the ball, like we said, 5 of 6 from shots on goal to actually goals. That's an incredible stat line. The thing that I think really showed that we were taking, it wasn't like shot volume, it was shot quality. 0 block shots this game. We usually are a team that gets our shots blocked a ton. I did that data review a couple weeks ago. So I think what this game really showed is that when we get good chances to shoot the ball, we can be clinical and really finish. So yeah, that's what my takeaway was on the whole shooting aspect here.
I like that. I can definitely agree with that. Get down with that for sure. Let's take a look at goal number 2 as we get going here. And let me make sure I get the right one queued up here. This was Quizera in the 45th plus 2 minutes.
Shout out to Scott on this one.
Good having him back.
Here to spray this one forward. Quizera on the near side. Carrying into the box. Quizera steps past one. Fires it across frame, and he finds the bottom corner. Another moment of brilliance from Rhode Island. And this time, it's Josiah Quizera.
So I know he scored on international duty, and getting him back there, the Louisville City first defender gave him absolutely no challenge. Let him turn that corner extremely easily there. But let's take a minute to appreciate that angle. That came in out of fucking nowhere, and the keeper was, near post, and that ball had so much spin and English on it, and just an absolute masterpiece of a shot from Josiah.
Yeah, one thing that the Raising Anchor guys, they teased out potentially us getting someone on loan. And I went in the chat and was talking about, hey, you know what I would love to see is someone, a winger who comes in and is really dynamic, can play one-on-one on an island by themselves, get past their man and make stuff happen. And a lot of people pushed back and said, don't we have that at home already? We have Quizera. And he showed it right there. That's exactly what we've needed from that left wing for a while now. A lot of times that left wing has been isolated. Quizera, a lot of times when he's played left wing, has been isolated. But seeing him beat his man and then make something happen, which a lot of times you're hoping more as a chance creative, but that time was an absolutely great finish over there. I do think the keeper might want that one back.
Sure.
But at the same time, you take shots, you create chances, you create opportunities for yourself. So.
Well, you calling for that position, I don't think is extremely out of line just because Quezera has been on international duty, and I think we've missed him tremendously the last few matches.
I also haven't been as high on Quezera as some people, especially our friend Scott. So I think for me, he's lacked a bit of physicality and a bit of intensity that I like to see from that position. Almost like that guy. You're like, that guy's a demon to guard.
Sure.
So I think I haven't seen that from him a ton, but I think he showed a lot of quality and a lot of that there. So
Our good friend Tim in the chat says, I think Quezera and Ankang benefited from
yeah.
international play, and maybe that physicality that you speak to was gained during that international break. You know, it is a much different game when you're playing for your country. Teams tend to go in a lot harder on challenges. You know, you're representing that shirt, you're representing that flag. So hopefully that's something that, you know, Quezera definitely benefited from. And we'll talk more about Isaac Ankang as we get going on this one. But both players seem to come on and impress. And Isaac didn't throw himself into any reckless challenges late and near the box in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been called up by the USA yet, so I can't completely speak to this, but I have to imagine it's a real big confidence boost too to get in there and
Sure.
get that call up.
No, that's definitely a good shout. First half stats for this one, pretty you know, we always talk about the stat and the eye test. The eye test said RIFC dominated this first half. The stat test said we had a lot to look out for in the second half and was not as dominant as we expected. 59% possession for Louisville. We were outshot 12-4, 3 shots on target for Louisville, 2 for us, 2 big chances for them, 1 for us. 2 big chances missed for them. We missed a big chance as well. But Louisville completed 86% of their passes to just 74 for RIFC, 7-6 for the Falls. RIFC led the way in that one, and 3 corners to none for Rhode Island. Corners, I think, were a piece that we kind of fancy ourselves on. So the fact that we weren't getting there and driving the ball in to those wide areas, you know, I thought could have been a little concerning because that also takes time off the clock. And I was having shades of Memphis flashbacks at halftime during this one.
We all
And
were.
the announcers were very adamant about mentioning that and making us relive that. Oh, Rhode Island FC fans, you've been here before. Like shut the fuck up. That's the game. I was so pissed with those announcers. The dude from the Caribbean is okay. He was better. I think we had him versus Tampa Bay one of the last times out. But they were a little bit better, but they just kept beating that dead horse with, oh, Rhode Island FC's been here before, dropping points. And, you know, we know that. You don't have to say it. We get it. We totally get it. But any other thoughts or big impressions from the first half, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really a good preview for what we're going to see the rest of the game, where we took our chances as slim as some of them were, and Louisville didn't. And that's kind of the moral of the story.
Yeah, for sure. We got going in this one, and much to my delight, as I think I've predicted it on the last 3 episodes, was JJ Williams finally opening his RIFC account, and very good to see. So we're gonna go with the video here. A little bit of controversy potentially in the build-up for this one, but we'll play the clip and watch as we go. But here's JJ Williams scoring and making it 3-0 in the 67th minute.
Firing forward. They wanted a handball. Nothing given. Fuson and Williams in the attack. Squared across. J.J. Williams clips it up, and he has the third. The counter executed to perfection.
So before we talk about the goal, look at that fucking sideline. Look at the passion. Look at the you know, emotion from the coaching staff, from the players. Just absolutely awesome to see. The big question in this was, did JJ handle that ball before it kind of flicked on to Fuson before JJ ran through?
I'm going to be so honest. I have absolutely no idea.
The clip didn't do a good job. It did bounce up high. Whether or not that was intentional or not, you know, obviously would be a big breakdown there. But be interested to get people's thoughts in the chat. Obviously, no one's going to kind of recommend there. But let's talk about the, as Evan says, oh, nothing on it. Let's talk about the finish itself, though. JJ's coming in. The keeper comes out. He feels the pressure. He knows he's not going to go for power. That chip is pretty pre-planned. You kind of see it as watching back on that one there, but just composed. That's the finish of a striker in form. And JJ was nothing close to being in form prior to that. He had a lot of heavy touches on balls. The ball seems to be bouncing off his foot and traveling pretty far, pretty quickly on this one. So really good to see him find the back of the net, especially because he wasn't having a great performance up until then.
Yeah, I also want to shout out, that was a beautiful pass by Fuson to break him free at the end. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing a lot of us were talking about in the chat this morning was how could our XG be so low? And I think as you've seen so far, these have all been very hard chances, and we were just super clinical. That is a striker finish by JJ there to chip that over the keeper, because that keeper's coming out. He's coming out hot. He does that. He's riding
he knows he's going to get hit.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you just have to really commend JJ. What a way to open up his account with RIFC. He must feel like the weight of the world off his back right now, because we've been talking for weeks. Oh, that JJ first goal, and hopefully that just opens the floodgates for him.
That's the exact line. Hopefully that I thought of. Hopefully that opens the floodgates. Hopefully it gets going. And I think that, like I said, he had not had the best of matches up until then. He seemed to be losing possession after a touch or two pretty frequently in this one. And like Matt Hand says in the chat, confident finish, especially after flubbing that chance earlier. He had an absolute sitter that he. Did he try to cross it? Did he try to put it across goal for, who was that, Quizero or D-Quad that was cutting in?
People at the Guild were talking a lot about that one. I think, unfortunately, Chico and Quizero made the exact same run when one of the two of them needed to dart towards goal rather than going to the back post. So I don't think his ball wasn't as bad as it seemed after the fact, because there should have been someone making the run to the middle.
I do want to dive a little bit deeper on JJ and his performance on this one, because his stat line was pretty impressive as well. He won 8 duels, 4 on the ground, 4 aerials. He was tracking back. He was fouled 4 times, and I actually thought FOTMob had it lower, because I think when they had it at 2, I had him at 4 that were actually whistled. So I think he just played his absolute physical game and played it to a T, and Louisville couldn't cope with it. And that's where a lot of the bitchiness came from their fans with the referee, because they could not contain JJ Williams and his aerial presence in this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited for us to get used to playing with JJ. I think he's such a different type of striker, where he's someone who has just tremendous hold-up play. He's really physical. And once we can start to really win those second balls that he's bringing down and battling for, I think that's really going to unlock something from this team, because that creates such a great opportunity for us to transition quickly on people. And as we saw in this game, when we can transition really quickly, we play against unsettled defenses that allow us to have much cleaner shots, which, again, higher chance of having a clinical finish there.
For sure. Louisville got the next goal with Mares scoring in the 85th minute, and then it was Noah Fuzan coming on and getting the 90+1 goal, adding to his performance of the night with it already being on the assist tally. So I know you and myself alike are both big Noah Fuzan fans. I think I don't know if maybe him coming off the bench is a good thing for this team, or if it was just kind of needed in this scenario. But where are your thoughts on that before I play the goal? Do you like seeing Noah come off the bench and provide that little bit of pace and creativity later on in matches? Thanks to Sam Tubman for just joining this one. I definitely appreciate that. Got that alert in. Or do you like Noah kind of starting and seeing how long we can ride him out?
I don't know that I have a strong preference at this point. I do, as everyone has booed me in the chat for, I am a big Noah guy. He, I think, has shown quality in both starting and off the bench. I think someone like a Doyle, I think, has shown much more that spark he can provide off the bench, his physicality in that later half of the game. I think that really suits him. Where someone like a Noah, who I actually think of him as much more of a technical player rather than someone who's breaking quickly on people, even though he showed a ton of that last night. As his strong suit. So I'm not sold either way. I wouldn't hate him getting a start after this. I think he put on a shift and a half on this one, even though he was only in the game for a short amount of time. But I think he can do both, which is a great asset to have for the team.
And I think that's something that we'll have to learn and see what Kano does, as we get going, and what his, do players earn their way back into the squad. And we'll have a big conversation about a potential player needing to earn his way back in after a performance as we go. But let's take a look at Fuzan's goal in the 90+1.
The 11th minute of stoppage time, the equalizer was scored. We're hitting this home very hard, but Fuzan takes over. He carries this one into the box, steps past another. He assisted one, trying to get it all the way through. Did it cross the goal line? And it did. 4-1. He assisted Williams. He dances through himself.
So Tim says, I like Noah off the bench. He's disruptive and coming in fresh. You look at that. He split those two defenders. He put that ball near post, which is fucking tough to do as his body's going left after splitting those two defenders. But what I want to know in the chat, did that ball cross the line? The side officials seem to think so. I don't think it did, but
It's a terrible camera angle.
it's a terrible camera angle. The camera angle they showed, I think, made it very damning for Noah.
Well, I think, you know what? So Noah creates a turnover, splits the defenders, shoots near post, does an amazing job all throughout. His best contribution was immediately celebrating. He did not let anyone in that stadium
he
think
grabbed that ball
wasn't a
right
goal.
away. He sold that shit like he owned it, and that's what you have to do. Right? You have to do that in those big times. Scott says, for me, that didn't go over the line, but we have no idea because of the camera. So I guess in all actuality there, based on the letter of the law, if the side judge deems it to have gone in, you know, even if you had VAR in this league, and I hope we never do, you'd have to deem it that it was a clear and obvious error. And I think based on the camera angles available due to USL broadcast, that's never going to fucking happen. So I think that you just have to go with the call that stands on the field there.
Yeah, I mean, even in this world that we're talking about, like, that isn't even a VAR decision. Usually that's just that like goal line technology. That's the other watch. Yeah, the other watch that they wear. So that I actually am surprised they don't have that. I can't imagine that's not like a very.
That wouldn't be hard. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
No, because it's very cut and dry. I mean, they have it in like tennis. They have it in most soccer leagues. So I wouldn't hate them bring that in because it's just a binary decision.
Sure. Matt Hands is very adamant. It crossed the line. We'll definitely like that. Scott also says,
the best part of that is it doesn't matter what we say because that was a fourth goal for RIFC, my friends.
It counted. Excellent run from Fusan, though. Yeah. Jason says it doesn't matter if it did or did not. The refs have been horrible to us all year. I'll take what they give us. Fucking love that. I love that take.
Just one thing on Fusan, though. I just want to. I brought it up earlier. I want to commend the shit out of him. I think some games this season he's shown very good thinking, but hasn't been able to execute on it. And I think that's what's given me a lot of hope. Other games he's had terrible ideas, but he's been like all about trying to get shots off, even though they're not working. I think last night was a great blend of the two, where he had good ideas and he was executing beautifully on them. The assist for JJ was a tremendous like carry, and then a cross to get JJ open. That shot breakaway turnover was amazing. I thought he did his work on the defensive end. There was a great adjustment Kano made to drop one of those strikers into the midfield in the second half, and I thought he was a great sub to bring that there. So just in general, I mean, I think someone earlier in the chat said they had Fusan as their man of the match. I don't think many people, even though he only played for 30 minutes or so.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think many people would even argue with that because that was a like very, very high impact performance.
So out of the 27 minutes, Fatma gave him an 8.3, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 total shots, 4 out of 5 accurate passes, 2 chances created, 1 of 2 shots on target, 11 total touches, 4 of them were in the opposition box. That's the piece that we've been missing. We have not had and gathered many touches in the opposition box. He had a clearance. He had a headed clearance, 1 defensive action, 1 recovery, 1 duel won, 1 duel lost. So like you said, like, as far as putting in a shift in 27 minutes, like he banged up a lot of stats and filled it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it also was a very different assignment for him. He's someone who I think of as a ball to feet, especially when we have a lot of possession. You almost want the ball going through him. We were purely playing on the counter. And shout out to like the entire team, but also shout out to him for adjusting to that, because I don't think it's easy when your team has been much more of a possession-based team, a field tilt team throughout the season, and we go into this bunker counter-attacking team that I think everyone had to adjust to, but Noah especially coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Sam says Noah has been the playmaking and vision that can unlock a defense like him for certain matchups against more defensive teams, because he thrives in space and attacking defenders head on. And that's what
That's not my burner account in the chat, I promise.
That's it. I know Sam. Sam's a Smithfield kid, so it's okay. It's all good. But I was worried that, before that goal, that we were Englanding, if you will, from Euros, and
that is so mean.
We were Southgate balling fully sitting back, and we had 11 men behind the ball at some points, 11 men in the box or just at the peripheral of the box. So I was glad to see us attack on the counter with such precision and quickness.
I to take this analogy and can completely fuck it up, but I actually think we Southgated much better than England is currently doing, because we actually had proper outballs, which Gareth hasn't figured out at this point. Having JJ paired up with an actual runner, I think is what Gareth is currently missing by not bringing like Marcus Rashford or like bringing on Anthony Gordon to run.
Sure. Tyler says in the chat, feels like we excel in playing in transition. Part of me worries about what will happen when our opponents slow us down. And Evan says, park the school bus. I don't think we parked the bus, because we were looking to strike on the counter much more than we've seen in the past. We've seen a lot of high press from this team, but we have not seen counter ball, if you will. And maybe that's the style we have to go with. I think we've had 3 or 4 matches on the season so far that we've had the possession lead, and I think we either drew or lost those matches. But
we statistically like usually are the higher possession team so far.
That's been a trend of late, though. Early on, it was not. It was. So is this something we need to look for more? Do we need to kind of play that Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho style where you're hitting on the counter, or even Pep says the fastest the ball goes up the field, the fastest it's going to come back at you.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to sit back and absorb more pressure and look to be lethal on the counter and clinical on the counter like we were versus this Louisville side?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask Kano after the fact, I don't think this is the way that he wants his team to play. From everything we've seen so far, he wants to be a possession-based team,
Front foot.
Front foot. He talked about Pep being one of his idols, so that Juego de Posición style that they play. I think it's hard to, especially in a league that has like a pretty decent amount of parity, say that we're always going to play on the counter. It's like hard to almost invite that. So I think it's going to be a lot of and I said this before, but taking the game that's on offer for you. So I think we did an amazing job adjusting to the game that we needed to play throughout the match. I think El Paso on Wednesday is going to be a very different style of game than someone like a Louisville City, who's going to go in there, have a ton of confidence. I mean, They literally only had let up 6 goals before last night at home through the entire season. So they're going to play a lot differently than other teams are going to play either at home or away. So again, I think it's about adjusting and understanding what the other team's trying to do and countering that with either a counter-attacking style or your own tactics that will take advantage of what they're doing.
Sure. And a pretty mind-blowing stat, I believe it was Evan said it in our Tide Talk Discord, was Louisville have conceded 20 goals on the season right now. So we have a quarter of their goals in that one game. So that's pretty mind-blowing. Absolutely wild stuff.
I mean, 5 of their 11 goals at home for the entire season are us. It's unbelievable.
Right. Evan also says in the chat, Louisville was absolutely garbage defending corners. That is kind of untrue, because we did not attempt a single corner.
I think he said counters.
Was it counters? Counters, yes, they were absolutely. I'm sorry, I totally read that wrong.
I think they were. In
fairness,
fairness, I think they got really desperate, and their center backs were like so high.
All right. So Matt says that is why Koke is coming back. So we're going to talk about that. We'll tease it back a little bit more going forward. But that's also Fluffy will be in there as well. But final stats for this one for the second half: 69% possession for Louisville to 31 for Rhode Island. 17-7 shots in favor of Louisville. 7 on target.
We forgot the 5th goal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. Damn. Good call, Ryan. That's why
it was the first goal from a native Rhode Islander for Rhode Island FC.
That's right. And I even had another clip set up. I'm way ahead of myself, man. All right. So in the 90 millionth plus 6th minute, we saw Isaac Anking, the first Rhode Island native score for Rhode Island FC. And here's the clip that did it. An absolutely lovely weighted ball to play him in here.
It's won back by Rhode Island. Every second the ball spends over here, the further away it is to their own goal. Threaded through, Anking one-on-one places it, and it's a 3-goal game again. 5-2, the feed by Brito, and he says, calm down, it was never in doubt.
5-2, change serve. This is unbelievable.
So Joe Brito put an absolute ball on a string through here. And early on when we started this broadcast, we had a lot of people in the chat talking about how well Brito played, stepping in for Connor McGlynn. And the announcers, obviously they don't watch every game, so wouldn't know McGlynn has only recently started starting for this team, but said he was the real big catalyst in our offense and all of that. But Brito pulled an absolute string, threaded that ball through, perfectly weighted, and Anking with a beautiful finish to seal this one off 5-2.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't in love with the Burrito performance ahead of this. I thought he was a bit anonymous in a lot of the game, but I have to say this was a truly tremendous effort from him. He wrote off at least 2 tackles, slots in a perfect ball for Anking, and then what a perfect finish from Anking. The celebration was amazing too, of just like the calm down, I'm here. Love that kind of attitude, especially from a guy coming off the bench, wants to make an impact. Yeah, I was saying this to somebody last night, I think it's to Scott, but just he's just an athlete, Inking. He looks like a guy who can come in and just put in an absolute shift. So yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Rhode Island for him being the first native Rhode Islander to score for the team. I absolutely love that.
So just to give you a little more light on Brito's performance, Fought Mob had him at an 8.2. He played all 90. He had the assist. He had one shot, completed 17 of 21 passes, creating the one chance. His one shot was on target. He had 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, played one accurate long ball, one tackle, his only tackle attempted, had a block shot, a clearance, 3 headed clearances, 1 interception, 9 defensive actions, 1 recovery, won 4 duels and only lost 1. So I think he did put in a little bit of a pretty solid shift there. So I don't want those stats to kind of lean out. But I also would say, we saw him throw in that challenge to get the goal last time out, and now we saw him, leading to another goal involvement here. And he's a guy that he started the season starting, and he's been kind of pushed to the bench. But I think he can come in and be a starter and provide a little bit of spark in certain situations. But it's good to see the midfield, because Mark Ibarra is going to go out there and put you anywhere from a 7 to a 7.5 performance pretty much every time out. He's that quiet guy under the radar, does a little bit of the dirty work. But who's the next midfielder that's going to step up? Clay will, but is it going to be Brito? Is it going to be McGlynn? And that competition within the squad is only going to help us and only going to pay dividends going down the road.
Yeah, I think so far this season, I would personally say that midfield is our deepest position.
Sure.
Between McGlynn, Clay, Ibarra, Brito, Anking. You also have Jack P coming back at some point. Noah has slotted in there at points. So there's a good 7 players who can play a central-ish midfielder position. So it's great to have that battle. You can see guys coming in and making contributions at all points, with Anking coming in late, Brito coming off the bench after not starting, as you said. Clay and Ibarra have been mainstays. Connor McGlynn in and out, but again, he scored last game for us. So we're getting a lot of contribution from that part of the pitch, and especially when our strikers might not be firing as much as we'd like to see. It's great that we're getting a lot of contribution there.
I like that a lot. Evan says the only change I'm making is Connor back into the starting 11. One other man that we have to talk about before a little bit at length before we kind of put a bow on this match is Jackson Lee, and what a job he did. 8 saves for the Aussie in net, and none probably better than this fingertip save that tipped the ball just over the bar in the 71st minute. So let's take a look at that.
Here's Morris showing me. Cut back to Morris. Creates the angle, and it's tipped over by Lee. Another brilliant save.
So he had the 8 total saves. 2 were inside the box. He was just Mr. on the spot. Did give up another free kick goal. So I don't know if that's more of a, communication with the defensive wall type thing and not working with those players so closely in training. But Jackson was outstanding in this one. And I've been a big Jackson Lee fan when he came on, and I like the way that he kind of plays with this team. His distribution was not what we would have hoped for by any means, but it is much deeper than Koke's. He kicks the ball a lot further than Koke, and I don't know if that's just like a young guy adrenaline thing and just tries to boot it every time, and maybe he loses some of his accuracy because of that. But I think that for whatever reason, we seem to settle down and play a little bit nicer with his deeper distribution and kind of getting behind the ball. We had Zero Ducks Given on Instagram say they play better with Lee, more confidence, and
I don't agree.
I don't know if I fully buy it, but I mean, this match, was just absolutely wild. So I think any kind of comparisons or metrics to other matches for the season are totally out the window. But Wednesday at home versus El Paso, Ryan Healy, who are you starting in goal?
I'm telling everyone right now, Koke Vegas is starting. He's the starting keeper. It's happening. I'm sorry. Some people are gonna be mad about it, but he's the starting keeper. While I think Jackson played well, I don't know that he did anything otherworldly in this game to keep it a 5-2 game. I actually think Louisville did us a lot more favors than anything. And I think Koke Vegas was our first signing for a reason. I think that style of play. I mean, I was talking to Jason from Raising Anchor about this, and maybe it's because of so I'm an Arsenal supporter. He's a Man City supporter, and both those teams have always wanted to play more of this possession-based keeper. So maybe I'm used to it, but what Koke did against Memphis, I didn't think was a mortal sin, as some people have been talking about, like coming out and being that sweeper keeper. I am very comfortable with that style of player, and I think what he did was correct. It was a split-second thing. He missed the ball, got the man. Happens. But I think that having that distribution and having that calmness in possession that Koke brings, I think is a style that Kano wants to play. I also think it is a defensive tactic to have that keeper who can maintain possession and keep the ball, because if we have the ball, they can't score. So I've always been a big believer in that. If people on this chat and the I'm already getting booed in the chat here say, Jackson Lee should start. I have no problem with Jackson Lee. I think he's fantastic. I think we are very blessed to have two incredible keepers. I think one of them will be gone next season, unfortunately. So, Koke Vegas is starting next game, and I don't want anyone to be shocked when the lineup comes out next.
Right. And I didn't kick that to you. I think Koke will start because, like you said,
you're like, I wanted to throw you the raw meat to the chat.
Right. It was, it's a suspension, not an injury. So obviously with, Jackson playing well, with Koke being injured is one thing, but coming off a 1-game suspension is a little bit different. Jason brings up a great point in the chat, though. Honestly, I don't think we're going to be able to keep Jackson very long. His value has had to go up. I feel teams will become knocking for him. And I totally agree with that. And
He's
I
perfect.
said that.
That's what you want.
I said that right on, when he started playing. I said, you know what? I don't think that Jackson Lee will be long for this team because of this stretch, because he played so well for it that, teams will look at him and, he might get a deal to go play somewhere else. But,
yeah, I mean,
I think what you said with the possession piece kind of goes back to, well, this was a counter style game. So is that the style that's going to suit us best? And obviously that's not a, uniform for every game. I think versus El Paso, we're going to lead the possession battle.
Yes.
So that's going to be a totally different game. So does Koke fit better into that plans? Maybe, probably. But against a team that we're going to have to sit back and wait and hit on the counter, Jackson Lee might be the better option there. And I think that it's,
my only counter to that is that having a keeper who can really give you accurate long balls, which I think Koke is better at. I'd have to check the stats there.
I wouldn't even say long balls. Koke's distribution is much different. I don't think he plays. Jackson plays the long ball much more frequently compared to Koke. So I think that obviously it'll go a little bit different. But like Tim says, he's the first player signed. He's the first captain. He's on a multi-year deal. There needs to be more before he loses the job, even if Lee's play is almost as good as Lee's mustache. And I was very worried, and somebody put it in the Defiance Discord that Lee had a fractured mustache during this one when he got hit in the face. I thought that was one of the most epic comments I have read. I don't know who it was. I'm sorry I did not pull that up. If you're in here, let us know. But that was a fucking awesome comment. But again, like I said with McGlynn and Brito, having that competition is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. It's going to help the squad improve. It's going to lead to a potential getting out and playing more minutes. It's not going to lead to a potential sale being on a 1-year deal, so it's not going to help us more financially if Jackson Lee's only on that single-year deal. But could he re-sign knowing Koke is a little bit longer in the tooth than him? Maybe. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out and how this team continues to build out for the future.
Yeah, and I mean, I see some stuff in the chat about like we played better with Lee. We played better. Like, I don't think we have enough evidence either way of who we play better with versus not. I think our performances have been very up and down, and there hasn't been a lot of rhyme or reason for a lot of them. So I think there's going to be a lot more to come here. Listen,
Right.
I don't think Koke has done anything that has been a clear reason
Job
for him to lose
losing
his job.
worthy.
Correct. So I just would caution the we play 100% better with Lee or not. I don't think we've seen enough to make that call either way.
For sure. So it definitely something to keep an eye on. I like you said.
I mean, again, we're blessed to have both of them. To be clear,
Right, right.
losing your starting keeper and being able to bring someone off the bench who's this good in Jackson is amazing. Great work by the front office there.
Absolutely, and I know Jackson was drafted by LAFC, I believe, and is elected to sign the deal with Rhode Island and play. So
Yeah, I think he was the best keeper in the country in college last year.
Right. So he's only maximizing his value on limited appearances. So you gotta tip your cap to him, because being a backup keeper and being ready and stepping into big moments is a huge part of the job, and it's not for everyone. So definitely applaud him. I know his dad listens to the podcast and interacts with us on social. So we love Jackson. He's awesome around the club, around the kids. So very, very good to see him. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Do you think they wooed Jackson to come here from LAFC with the same kind of pitch I gave to Clay in the beginning of this episode? Coffee milk, Dells, Stuffies. It might work. If it worked for Jackson, it should work with Clay, right?
I mean, if he wants to think about signing a deal for next season, Ryan and I will be glad to take him to the hot club for a few beverages on a Sunday night by the water. Just absolutely chef's kiss, right?
That's the best. The best.
So final stats for this one: 64% possession for Louisville to 36 for Rhode Island. We were outshot 29-11. 29-11. That's pretty friggin' insane. 10 on target for Louisville, 6 for us. Obviously 5 out of 6, man. That's just absurd. Clinical
is a perfect word.
Absolutely love it. 3 big chances for them. We did have 4 big chances. 2 big chances missed for them, 1 for us. 362 accurate passes for Louisville, 181 for Rhode Island FC. 12 fouls committed to 11. So for those bitching about the ref on the Louisville side, it was pretty evenly done as far as the count total, at least. 13 corners for Louisville to 0 for Rhode Island. That one absolutely
I don't even know how he did that.
Right, wait.
So when you kick the ball into the net, you don't get a corner when it goes over the line. It's better to do it that way. Okay.
AG says Hot Club. Eesh, got to bait him with something better. Well, we could do Gansett.
Oh, AG, come on.
And Hot Club's great. Hot Club is great at this time of year by the water. We can start at Gansett. They get some good flatbreads, fresh catches in small cans now. Like I said to you off air, Ryan, I love it. We can definitely make it work. And then we also, Darren, we got lucky. As a Louisville supporter, I'd be more pissed at them missing their chances than the ref. All right. Well, we'll take it for there. But nonetheless, a 5-2 win for the boys in amber. Is the blue kit cursed, Ryan? There's a lot of talk of that.
Whoa.
Do we think the blue kit's cursed?
Tune in on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Matt says, also added, we defended corners really well, except for one where they hit the post.
Yeah.
Still didn't find the back of the net. So we defended 13 corners successfully, at least, I guess.
Hey, I think we forget. Every single episode for the first bunch in this season, we were complaining about a free kick or a corner going in the back of our net. So shout out to the team. Huge improvement there.
And before we kind of go to the socials and the RIFC at 3 and the good, bad, and the ugly from listeners, it's also worth noting this is Ryan's second win since joining the podcast. The curse has been lifted. He joined after the first win for Las Vegas FC. But we got Ryan here on a win, so it is absolutely awesome. It's good stuff. It must be.
I was getting really nervous.
JJ had the weight lifted off his shoulders for scoring. You have the weight lifted on the podcast.
I thought it was me, guys. I'll be honest with you all. I thought I was gonna have to turn off the airwaves, just unplug the mic, and move on with my my new hobby. So.
All right. So I'm going to start off with a couple of good, bad, and the uglies from listeners. Our guy, Fluffy Call Hog Boy Kevin. And again, tune in Monday night, tomorrow night at 9 on Twitter. He has good, winning, bad, Dequa, ugly, the decision Kano needs to make about the keeper. Ryan, what were your thoughts on Dequa on this? We didn't talk about him too much in our match recap. The announcers were pretty high on him throughout this one, talking about his hold-up play and tracking back. Obviously, we want to see a little bit more of him in the opposition box, but still not finding the net. But overall, I think it was an okay performance from Chico.
I think okay is the perfect way to describe that performance. I do think I think we need to figure out what the striker pairing looks like for Allen FC. And I think the issue I'm having with Chico is so with JJ, I can very clearly describe who JJ is as a striker. He's very physical, great hold up play, and has a good amount of technical ability to play people in. Noah, I can describe pretty clearly. He has a very good technical quality, can show some speed, and I think has very good link up play. I don't know that I can really like describe Chico yet as a striker, as a what is he bringing to the attack. And I think as we try to build up this striker pairing up top, I don't know that I understand what Chico is bringing to his side of the equation at this point. So I do think that is a puzzle that again Kano is going to have to figure out over the next few weeks, because he is luckily able to pick between the three I just mentioned, plus Doyle, who again I think I can very clearly describe Doyle's style play and what he brings to that pairing.
Sure.
So again, it's more, Kano, how do you make the puzzle pieces fit? Who's coming off the bench? What are they bringing and why? So, again, Chico is fine. He's coming off an injury. He hasn't played a ton. I don't think he's been in the best form for a while now. So, I think it's an area that Kano is going to have to look at and try to figure out how does he fit that puzzle together.
Is Chico's style or lack thereof of a noticeable style more about him or more about the system that sits behind him?
That's a great question. I think it's both. I think if I would, from what I've seen of Chico, plus like old highlights, he seems to be kind of like a fox in the box poacher style of striker. And I think the way that we're currently playing and the kind of lack of chances that he's able to get around in the box, I don't know that it's going to benefit what he brings to the team.
Sure,
so I think that style of play is currently working against him in a lot of ways.
Just to give you his stats for this one, 63 minutes played. He had a 6.7 rating on FOTMob, completed 5 of 10 passes, only had 17 touches, 1 inside the opposition box, 1 pass into the final third, 1 accurate long ball out of 2 attempted, was dispossessed once, and 1 out of 1 tackles. Did have 1 clearance, 1 headed clearance, and 4 defensive actions and a recovery. So he did track back a little bit more than we've seen him, but just as far as playing on the counter, I don't think it's him. Like you said, I think he's a poacher. And to kind of hit home some points from earlier, if we could shoot more, we get some spillage, we get some more balls bounce around in the box, maybe he's able to capitalize on some of those chances. But whether or not that fits the system that we've been playing or we've been successful at is yet to be seen.
And I think it's going to be something where potentially when Kano's, filling out his team sheet every week, there's almost like pairings that he's putting in rather than like individuals. So maybe Chico's someone who, when Jack P comes back and you have that kind of more clinical number 10 who might create more chances around the box, maybe that's a better fit for Chico, where a week that we think there's going to be a lot of balls in behind and a lot of long balls, maybe a Noah JJ pairing is the better one up front. So I think this is, again, something that's going to evolve as Kano really sees his squad fill out and learns about the pros and cons and the styles of each player more.
I think that's pretty well said. We had Brendan D on Discord, RIFC in 3, brought the thunder. Good thunder. Good. The mood of RIFC supporters. Bad. A 5-2 loss at home despite 63% possession. 29 shots, 10 on goal. Such a pity for poor Louisville City FC. Ugly. My celebratory hangover comes Sunday morning. Hair of the dog, Tricerebus, Finnair, and Fang. Evan said his good was RIFC. Bad, Louisville fans, state of Kentucky. Same for the ugly. They're not all bad. I read you John's
John's great.
Comment. Handsome John could come to Rhode Island.
There'll be no Handsome John slander on this podcast.
There will be none. We will get him a job here at Tide Talk. No problem. We'll kick it over to RIFC in 3 in the Defiance Discord. Andrew H, 5-2. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. By the time I took the screenshot to get it into my episode notes, 5 people had used the Andrew H emoji 92 as well. So
I'm actually shocked it wasn't more. Usually it's quick.
I can always appreciate it. It might be more by now, but we'll have to go back there. Mike M feels so good. Tyler up the tide. Leo O, David stunned Goliath. Andrew Q, holy fucking shit. Our guy, Fluffy Call Hog Boy, Jackson Lee starter. I don't think it's going to happen, Kevin. I'd be okay if it did. I'd
That's
be
the nice
fine
thing
with
is
it.
either way is fine, but
I'd be absolutely fine with it. And like Tim said in the chat, to kind of go back to the Louisville fan thing, every single Louisville fan that came to our home game was
they
awesome.
brought us multiple bottles of bourbon
Also,
and
with
one of that
bourbon,
championship belt. They were just super cool
right.
people.
They're good people, and that stadium's fucking sick. That's definitely high up on my list of away days to go. Joe Perrin adds a really good 3-word, maybe my favorite one so far. 5 separate scorers. So not only did we score 5 goals in this one, but we had 5 different scorers. Absolutely love seeing it. Taris adds in about fucking time. Andrew Gomes, I could cry. Taris came back with what a game. Natesky, Road Warriors win. Deezer, complaint department closed. I think it's still somewhat open. I know he referenced that it was a Cubs reference, but we'll see how things get going in there. Andrew H responded with a second one saying, "My less excited, more soberly realistic."
That is way more than 3 words.
Well, here's this 3-word on that, but it was prefacing it. East standings unchanged. It does move us closer to the playoff line, but it did not change our table position.
Yeah, that's fair.
Over on Instagram, our friend Scott in Wales at Rhode Island FC _UK could have been 6. It could have been 6. And then followed up and commented on his own with arg, arg, arg. So Scott was feeling it late at night.
You just put it in the comments here too. So
that's it. There it is. Yeah, I'm gonna get that up on screen. TV Rowdies fan who we had on the away end for the Tampa Bay match. Y'all the goats. I was getting messages from him, from Garrett, from the 415 podcast. Like, what the fuck is going on? What
I like that you've
guys-
assembled this like other supporters groups who are all just like
they were
awesome.
all supporting the boys in amber and blue last night. Brian Luch, welcome back, Quizera. Our good friend Cool Will from Sacramento, 5 massive goals. He was messaging me.
Yeah, I think I saw him in the chat earlier too.
Yep. He's always in here. Will, I know you're probably in here. Appreciate it. Shup Mitch for the win. Their name is Max F. Brought the thunder. Mike Moniz, feed me more. Jimmy J. Jim own their house. Mindful Chimera. This one might get the episode title. Hook to a
Jesus.
Spit on that thing. Spit on that thing.
Come on.
I know Kevin's already using that as an image for the call corner tomorrow night. But
we are all just brain rot from the internet. That's all it is.
Don't know if it's true. Found out or saw online earlier that she lost her job as an educator because of that. So pretty crazy, pretty wild stuff. Be careful what you say on the internet, folks. M. Howard 9, the turning point. Fluffy's back in it again. I think he commented on every social media outlet that we have. Jackson Lee starter. Like I said, sorry, Fluff. I'm not.
You can't double dip the same take on multiple socials. Come on.
Yeah, of course you can. It is what it is. We got. This was the highlight from last night. What the fuck is happening? I put that in our chat going on there. Evan says Evan has a lot about Louisville fans. I'm not going to read those. He also said strikers are invincible. JJ got on the score sheet. Noah got on the score sheet, so not finished. Louisville can't finish, and we can win. Those were all from Evan. So we can win. We'll like that one. Darren's happy place. Never let up after the last game. I feel sorry, my screen formatted out. They weren't going to get this one, but they kept going with their foot on the gas. Matt Hands, what a hit. That fucking Clay Holstead goal was absolutely beautiful. I
asked last night if there's a way for me to get the gif of that tattooed on the back of my eyelid so I can just see it over and over. So I get that. Absolutely
beautiful. Do we want to play it again? Should we play it again?
Let's do it. Give the people what they want.
Hey, the people want it. Let's do it. This is that Clay Holstead goal again. If you're on the podcast version, I apologize for not having the visual, but the audio is good too. So here it is.
He's been given some green grass to move into. He's got Turnbull to his right. Holstead in a bit of space as well. He'll have a go from distance. Oh, what a goal! Clay Holstead. How about that?
Well, get the highlight reels out. It's going to be on your screen from now until next week. Clay Holstead.
So the James Ward-Prowse goal celebration, he definitely tingus pingus that one off both of the the posts on that one. Just absolutely beautiful, an absolute rocket. We got people saying, I heard that Clay goal made ESPN top 10. I didn't watch
Number
Sports
one.
Center today, but hell yeah, fuck yeah. Jason also adds employee of the month. Definitely love that. That is good stuff. But that'll put a pin in the 5-2 win versus Louisville. Up next is a home match as El Paso Locomotive travel to Burns Stadium Wednesday night, June 26th at 7:30 p.m. El Paso is pretty El Trasho. It is worth noting at this point, we tried to set up an away end pod with the one El Paso podcast, but they did not return our calls or get back to us on socials. So we're going to go ahead with our little mini preview and predictions on this one. So I know, Ryan, you wanted to start this one off.
Oof. Well, actually, can I say before we transition, I got two more
Sure.
things to say about this game really quick. Number one, shout out to Messi.
Right. Good
so
call.
we shouted him out last game. I just want to say that he has fixed a massive problem in this team and has done it very, very well. We complained for weeks on end that Kano was sticking to this back three system, but we resorted to putting Clay back there, and that was royally screwing up the team because we lost Clay in midfield. He couldn't get close to goal, couldn't be taking shots or creating up there, created a lot of issues. Shumesi has come in and done not even just like a serviceable job, has done a very good job here. And I think, again, shout out to Kano here because he, for whatever he saw on the training ground, identified a solution. I think it worked for both the team and the player because Messi, I think a lot of us saw in that Charlotte match, didn't look phenomenal there. Where he seemed like out of position, was getting run past a lot. This center back position, I think, is great for him because it gives him a very straightforward job in defense. And then it also really clarifies what he needs to do on the offensive end, where when he gets the ball, he has about four people that he can pass to at all times. It's like the keeper, Yao at center back, Turnbull at right wing back, Clay in midfield, or he goes long to JJ. So it just makes his job a lot easier, makes it clearer, and I think it is getting the best out of him as a player. So shout out to Kano for recognizing that in the training ground, and shout out to Messi for his two very good performances in a row. So I wanted to really give him a big shout out. My other thing here is just like, actually, well, we can get to that at the end of this because we can talk about El Paso with this in mind as well. So yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to Messi because those were two fantastic performances in a row, and more to come there.
I think that's really well said. And like you said, if it's Kano recognizing a need and recognizing the need to get Clay on the ball more and getting on the ball in the middle of the pitch, it is a huge get and a huge benefit for this team because I think Clay is our engine and we kind of go how Clay goes.
We need him to be in the midfield. We just need it.
So as we kind of give you our what El Paso has done so far this season, hit us in the chat with your score predictions for this one coming up. Last time out this weekend, El Paso lost 2-1 at Oakland. Before that, it was a 1-1 draw at home versus Phoenix Rising. They beat San Antonio 1-0. And a 3-1 loss at home to Birmingham, followed by a 2-1 road win versus Charleston Battery. That's kind of one of the outliers for them this season. But this should be a pretty interesting one as both teams definitely need 3 points and need 3 points bad in this one. El Paso is currently dead last, 12th in the West. They've played 16 matches. They've won 3. They've drawn 3. They've lost 10. They have a -8 goal differential and are currently on 12 points total. This is one that I think we definitely need to get. I saw Irvin at the German American Club Summerfest yesterday, which is always an awesome time. If you ever see any of their events, if it's the Summerfest, the Oktoberfest, I know there's one in the winter as well. Make sure you try to go to those. The club's always there. Chip made an appearance there. Zach and Graham squeaked Chip's nose. It was fucking awesome. It was part of his very busy day. Just really cool. They always have great food. The beer obviously is always great. That was hair of the dog for me as I was recovering from the Hardy concert.
The Germans know what they're doing with those two things.
Certainly do, and they just won their group today, so they know what's going on as far as soccer and as far as beer. But this is one that we need to get, and like I said to Irvin, I said, whatever happens in Louisville tonight is bonus if we get anything. Little did I know a fucking 5-2 was coming. But I looked at the El Paso match coming up. I look at Miami and I look at Hartford as those 9 points we need. So if we can get those 9 points and add it into the 3 that we took in Louisville and sprinkle in a few more here and there, I think we're going to definitely qualify for the playoffs. I think that push is definitely strong on. But for that to be feasible and for that to happen, this is a must win.
Ooh, a must win.
Mm-hmm.
Must win or a can't lose?
I think it's a must win. I think it's at home. You need 3 points. And worst part about this one is I'm not even going to be there. I have my second concert of my summer series. I'll be at Gillette, singing country music, drinking, and not knowing my name by about 9:00 p.m. But that's what it was for Hardy. So going to see Zach Bryan the Wednesday night at Gillette. It's going to be a fun one. Going with my brother, one of my coworkers going, so it'll be a good time. I believe my wife's taking Zach and my other son as well. So
as long as Zach's there, we're fine.
Hopefully Zach's there to see the first home win. He can at least look at that. I won't be Neil and say that it doesn't count till it's at home, because Ryan ridiculed me off air for saying that. But hopefully I'm there for the first Tidewater win, at least if we can get one there. But what are your thoughts on this matchup coming up, Ryan?
Yes, this one's interesting. So you just read off a bunch of very damning thoughts about El Paso, but then when I toggled between their home and away form, while they're dead last in their conference, they're dead last at home. They have 0 home wins this year. All 3 of their wins are on the road. They would be 3rd in the West if anyone only played on the road. So didn't love seeing that. But here's my big thing, and this was my second point. We've seen this team put in some very good performances this year, and then put up an absolute stinker the next game. This needs to be a momentum builder. This needs to be a floor that is set for the season. This needs to be what Rhode Island FC comes out and says, this is us, this is who we are. We can't get too high off this win. We cannot lose our focus. The team needs to take that step forward and say, we are going to be accumulating points. We are going to be putting in performances, and we are going to be a team to be reckoned with that's going to be making a playoff push.
I like that.
So with all that being said, I do have it at a 2-0 Rhode Island FC win. I would like to see this be a dominant performance from the team that says we are here. That Louisville match was not a fluke. That Louisville match was not just a bit of luck. We are here to play.
That's pretty well said. Do you see any other changes? I know we both kind of think Vegas is coming in. Does McGlynn come back in?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Doyle come in, or does Chico stay in? Like, what do you see as far as lineup?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we all might overreact to is I think there might be a bunch of changes in this game. And I think a lot of that actually might be the short week and how just like brutally hot it was in Louisville.
Sure.
So I hope we all keep our collective composure with what I think will be a decent amount of changes here. So I think Koke is going to come in. I think that we are going to see a Noah or Doyle for Chico. I think we see McGlynn for Brito. And then we potentially see Gabby Alves come in for someone. I know he was injured last game, but I also wouldn't be shocked to see both wingbacks be the same. Potentially, I don't know how burnt out Turnbull is. He's played like every minute this season. Maybe we see a Colin Smith there as well. So don't be shocked if there are changes. Everyone hold it together. So
I think Vegas comes back in, and I think McGlynn comes back in, but I think that's it. I think those are the only 2 changes we see. That's going to be my prediction as far as the starting 11. As far as
the boys are getting their Gatorade on the flight home, like they should be fine for Wednesday. Come on.
That's it. As far as listener predictions in the chat, we got if Lee starts 3-0 RIFC, if Koke starts 1-1 from Evan. Tim says 3-0 RIFC. Tyler 4-1 RIFC. Sarah 2-1 RIFC. Matt Hands 3-1 to the good guys. Old man EXO 3-1. Time to bring the magic back home. I like that. That's a good one. We got Jason. Koke will be the starter, but 2-1 us with the momentum we got from last night. Old man EXO.
I like that's a butt for the win.
Right. It's always gonna be a butt. Little one says 4-0. So I appreciate little one. Hopefully is more accurate. Our guy Nate Ski says 2-1 win. Jason says if Lee started 2-0 us. Why is it all contingent on the keeper? Like,
what is going on, guys? Like, what is Koke done?
I get it. We're emotionally attached. Koke's our captain. Like, we gotta build on that and feel off that. Tyler says we need the first win streak. That would be absolutely awesome. Jason, they must win a game at home. Darren, we win 2-1. We jump out to a 2-0 lead, then give up a goal in the 87th minute. I get
Jesus.
heartburn, so we close it out.
Likewise,
Love that.
someone bring the Tums to the tailgate.
Right, like I was getting Memphis flashbacks that entire game, so I definitely say that. Megatron says, "I will be drunk, so automatic win." Um, I wasn't drunk during this one. I was hungover, so we'll clarify
Say
that.
I've tailgated with you a couple times, so I don't know if it
Right,
helps.
but I will be hungover, so maybe that'll work
There
as
we go.
well. He also tells you to quit sounding like him and be happy for once.
I'm very happy.
Jason says Fuzan will be starting. I think that kind of goes back to our conversation earlier of do we like him starting or do we like him off the bench? And right now, I think you have to keep playing Chico and hope something comes good. And is a much more viable option off the bench. I like the idea of Noah off the bench better than Chico off the bench. I think Chico kind of needs a little bit more time growing into the game. And we got Evan saying I predict Connor comes in for Brito. Scott
Likewise.
saying Gabi. I don't think Gabi starts. I just don't. It's just kind of a gut feeling. He's very special. I do love that.
Well, I mean, here's the one for Scott. This is probably going to be between your special boy Gabby and your other special boy Jose Quezera.
True.
Like, pick a side, Scott.
Very true. Quezera on the score sheet did not do anything to lose his place. Scott has a 3-1 RIFC win in that one. So Tim also wanted to add Tums are always in your car, always in his car if he needs them. So, we are emotionally attached. Listen to Matt. He is our captain. That's arbitrary. He was our first signing. This is just sentimental. Well, interesting to see how that plays out. I do think he comes back, and I don't think it affects the score line based on who starts in net.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Koke was responsible for 3 goals given up in his last 2 matches. Like, what goal? What are these goals?
Yeah. People are just going to be mad about the penalty, about the red cards. I think that it is what it is there. But
like the guy also, just to go back to the red card, the guy still has to score like a really unbelievable free kick to get that goal. He isn't getting
it's on a cold keeper. It's on a cold keeper coming in, right? But
anyways.
All right. We're a little bit over an hour, about an hour 15. Let's put a pin in this episode. Ryan, final thoughts. What do you got for us?
Huge win. Let's keep it up. I thoroughly enjoyed winning. It's a great thing, and I hope we do much more of it.
Winning feels good.
Yeah, winning feels great.
Good.
I went home from the guild. I was blasting the Killers on the way home. I was having a great time driving back. So more of it.
Classic. I love the Killers. Big Killers fan. We were Mr. Brightside in this one, so we'll take it for that. Like Jason says in the chat, up the tide. I think that this could be the start. We always say this could be the turning point. Could this actually be the turning point? Let's fucking hope so. I think if we can string together 2 in a row, and I think we very
I got chills. I got chills.
Yeah, we have a good shot to do it versus this team, and we pick up form, we pick up steam heading into that Hartford home match. Ooh, baby, we're gonna put a thumping on them as well. So let's hope this is the corner turned. Turner corned. Wow, that was.
I don't know if you can hear the thunder coming through my microphone.
I've been hearing it. I can hear it upstairs. So I think it's a good time to sign off before we get absolutely booted off. So hopefully you guys found the stream. We had probably like our highest people in here throughout. So thank you for everyone who popped in. Again, if you listen to the podcast version, come drop by the YouTube. Now that we're using clips, it looks good. We got some good stuff going on here. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, just go hit that subscribe button. We're gonna set that next goal. We're over 125, so let's push to 150. Let's get to 150 as soon as possible. The Facebook group hit over 600 members this week. Absolutely insane. We had random people trying to post like selling piles of wood and stuff. Like, it was random.
They still are.
I found out from one guy that that's like a Facebook marketplace glitch. So we can't hate everyone, but that's why post approval is on. If you were wondering, it's just people try to sell us random stuff in this one. We'll see if we can work that out. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. You can also head over to the beautiful website Ryan created called TideTalkRI.com. It's got our whole archive. It's got all of our socials, and you can also hit our link tree Tide Talk RI to find out all the rest of that. We got some special stuff coming up as far as what's going on and what we're going to be offering out there. So make sure you're following all of our accounts. Try to do it a little bit different on each account, so you're in the loop on all of them. But thanks again for everyone who joined in the live chat. Thanks for everyone who gave this one a listen on the podcast or on YouTube after the live recording. Let's continue to push the Tide in the right direction. Let's continue to get 3 points and continue for positives for this Rhode Island FC team. I've been your host, Matt, and from my good friend and co-host, Ryan, we'll see you next time. And as always, up the Tide.
Up the Tide.